Hey, what do you say? Before I do this short video, I just want to put out here that there's a lot of people out there that want to be truthers and that are trying to expose stuff. And you know, when you can tell somebody really wants to try to do something right, let's quit going at each other's throats and let's start working together. Instead of saying, well, you don't know about this stuff and you don't know about that stuff. Why are you comparing notes? If you know that people have the intention to remove the system that's keeping the physical world in a state of duress, let's work on that and stop worrying about nitpicking at each other when we're on the same team, okay? Now, I'm going to go into 5 words, or 5 roots of words, because they're not all actually words, but I will show you how all these different languages can be transcended with this. Not instead of just going saying, like, Polis and Paul, and like people will relate stuff to the Bible and relate stuff to the Bhagavad Gita and relate stuff to, you know, African writings and, you know, hieroglyphics, and they'll try to like use weird ways of saying pool and bell and bell and bal and bull, and it's like, I get what they're doing because they learned this from books and they studied and they worked hard and they really believe in what they did, because just like when you go to school and you're taught something for a long time, it becomes patterns that you recognize. So you start recognizing that without people having to point them out to you. And then because you've noticed them more, like that whole, I just got a red car, now all I see is red cars. In a weird way, with stuff like information, it takes more because it's not just a visual stimulation. It's something that you've got to put your mind on and learn. So when people do that, they don't want to have other people saying, that's actually not fully correct. There's more to it than that. It's not just etymology. It's not just saying, mind or meant means mind. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean mind. It means manifested, expressed notion, whatever this is, plus. It could be something that's going to amount up to. It's going to be something that's going to be of the mind or of the mental, but it doesn't mean just one or the other. One is a physical version of the breakdown and one is the spiritual version of the breakdown. Just like I've said before, spirit is the light body of non-living essence, and soul is basically the body that merges the light into the essence of matter. Matter itself is the body, which is spirit, soul, and body, okay? Body, soul, spirit, basically. But anyway, instead of worrying about trying to break down etymology, understand that what I'm showing you applies to all of it. So instead of saying and comparing, use this along with what you're doing. Me, I don't need to do what you're doing, because if you can see that if you use this along with what you're doing and it works, then you'll see that I don't need to use what you're doing along with it, because it'll work with everybody's. It works with everybody's. This is the universal key, not just the English language, because I can explain so much more than just these letters and numbers. But this shows that we can speak and communicate together. Whatever other animals and species do to communicate with one another is something that humans have not learned how to do with each other, because we all speak our own lingo, even if it's in the same dialect or the same language. Each of us talks differently and then has a different mental way of communicating, because we've got to get on the same page. We don't have to, but it would be damn nice if everybody did, because then we could do a lot better in the world. So let me bring in the board right here. I just got these 5 roots of words. Sorry if the light's shining on here. We have lax. Now take off the R-E from the word relax, and we'll say something like, when someone is lax, it's almost like lazy. And just to throw in here, Lazarus. People say, you know, Lazarus in the Bible, the one that was brought back from the dead. Lays, arise. L-A is to be on the bottom. Active. Oh, from one side to the other. Aras, arise. Come on, you see how this is? It may be a different language and it doesn't sound right when you say it, like lays arise. He died and come back. That's not what lays arise means. If it isn't, then slap me around, because you're just trying too hard to understand. It is become again as a child and understand this stuff from your heart space, not from what somebody taught you to learn. And you got up in here and started being like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. I understand that you really feel it. And I love you. And I want you to keep trying and loving and being open. Quit shutting off and being defensive. Mine, when I'm not really being ever defensive, I'm just saying I'm getting sick and tired of people saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, when all I'm trying to do is help you. You could give a shit less about me, most of you, you know? But that's fine, and it's cool. So, LAX, let's say Los Angeles Airport. As it lies, that activate a center where you're going to go to take off into the sky. So you're from here, active, centered. That's where you're going to land or where you're going to go to take off. At the same time, it's almost like being relaxed because you want to relax. What do you want to do again? You want to, as it lie or ling, active, centered. Just relax, man. Just relax. When something lacks something, L-A-C-K-S, it lacks something as it lies, active, constant to itself as a kinetic or actively active subjects. It lacks something. So then, the word lex, we hear lex rex. We have L, and then we have R on this side, but we have L and R is 6 away. We have lex, which is supposed to be the law, the lexicon, or the word. The word, but it's also the lex as in the as it lies expressed center. So everything that's expressed is the law or the word. Now, rex is the one who's supposed to be familiar, 6 away with, from the law, L, and it's supposed to say that it rules the law or it makes the law, rex. Most of the time it wrecks the law. It wrecks the word because a lot of those people who think they rule don't have any clue what they're talking about. Or they do in their own egotistical, maniacal, crazy way. So lex is, as it lies, expressing the center. So Lex Luger, Lex Luthor, it means to be the law, to be the word, to be the strength, that kind of thing. So now when you say flex, now you're a form before that. So the form force are familiar, as it lies, expressing its center. Flex. Say plex, when something is in place, as it lies, expressing centered. It's plex. Okay, now, L-I-X, licks. Notice these are Roman numerals, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to say, as it lies, 1X, or just say, as it lies, identifying center. Okay, identifying center. When we say the elixir of life, elixir, E-L is a God name, or the name of the divine, E-L, identifying center, expressed reference. So you use an elixir to heal yourself, because it's God-related. See how that is? H-E-A-L, it's E-A then L, because it's activating L. It's E activating L. It's expressing the activation of L. See what I'm saying? Heal. But then when you say take the elixir, L-I-X in there, expressing the ling, identified center, expressing reference, the elixir, the thing that will heal, that will bring God to your center, that kind of thing, or good to your center, if you want to heal with the elixir of life or something. Now, what about the helix? We say that's the DNA is a double helix. Well, here's between two lines is an H, and we're going like this, as an L, identified center. And what is this? We have this already with the H expressing this. Is that not what a double helix is for a DNA strand? Sure is. Well, isn't that crazy? Its shape, its letter, its number, its form, its word. Wow. We can go a lot deeper, and we will, believe me. So now, we also have LAX. I don't really want to go too much into it because I'm not into killing animals or eating any animals or using any parts of animals, because there are animal brothers and sisters, whether you like to hear it or not. I know when Indians say it, it sounds fine. When it's a Native American, you're like, oh, I get it from them, but I don't get it from this white guy. I understand. It's fine. It's all good. I'm not a white guy. I just happen to have one. This is my costume. So anyway, the word LAX, it means centered from a lake. In some of those old languages, L-A-K-S was lock, the LAX. Or you would say L-O-C-K, like Loch Ness Monster, the monster from the middle of the lake, lock. So when we say LAX, we're saying that's something centered from the lake. It's smoked salmon spread on bread, and as it lies, ongoing centered, that's all. Or something centered from the LAX, from the lake. As it lie, ongoing centered, centered on the lake. As it lie, ongoing, hey, a big circle, something in there, LAX, fish. I mean, it sounds so silly, from the lake. You got to understand, when you put it together with some of the definitions and words, when you think about, wait, LAX actually does sound like lakes, but I never thought of it that way. the vowels are that hold movement. They're the feminine idea that holds the movement. Everything else is just sending, consonant. So anyway, last one we'll say lux. Now, as many know, lux in Latin means light, because it's not the UL, okay? It's the LU, so it's the ling unit centered. What do we center on? Light, lux. Now we can say deluxe, because lux in our language is known as a 1 square meter of illuminated space. And what is a meter? Me, territory. Me plus express reference, meter. Okay, and a meter is 39.37 inches. If you've heard me talk about it takes 2 to make a thing go right, like A takes 2 to go to C, and C takes from 3 to go to E, that's 2, takes 2 to make a thing go right. If it's not just a joke, but you'll get it if you pay attention. So when you get to words like lux, we have 39.37 is a meter, and a meter of light, because 39 is constant to itself identified at a point of constant to itself generated and grouped. It's going backwards because it's not going right. We're just saying it's the square meter of light, lux, which is 39 constant to itself identified, point 37 constant to itself generated and grouped. This whole thing, it's a meter of light, lux. See how that is? And a meter is literally the same thing, except it doesn't have to have light as a square meter. It's just saying constant to this identity at a point, constant to this generated and grouped. Meter, me territory. See how silly that may sound, but it makes sense. I've been teaching this for 6 years, and it will apply to everything. So when I watch these big people going cosmic, ooh, I'm like, if you understand that that's all in here, and yes, it's there, it seems so amazing out there and not nearly as amazing in here. But when you go and you realize that you're upgrading your spiritual conscious fabric in this universe through this body, and when you leave this body, you'll be able to either learn and take some with you, or you'll have to come back because you didn't learn anything. Okay? A couple more words with deluxe. You might as well say to and from, dia, expressing light expression. Something that's great. It's deluxe, or luxurious, or luxury, because it means a unit referencing the vital identity, lux, luxury. So it's as it lies, underlying, centered. So you're the unit that it's centered on now, and you say that unit, reference, vital identity, luxury. Or you could say like light, luxurious, that of the source of light, eos. See how this kind of stuff may sound odd to people, but it's not at all. Not at all. It's just I put it too simple. So many people make it so complicated, and more people would rather spend their time hours and hours a day, or like just so much time of their life studying people, when we've got a real world out there with real world problems that can't really sit around and wait for us to learn ancient dialects and all this other stuff. If you got to really think to yourself, it's actually a distraction. Too much paying attention on something that's not going to help us become free is a distraction. You're just getting people stirred up, telling people they got to do this, get your website started, go out and buy this equipment and get this stuff going. We got to become more natural, not more technical. I mean, how could we restore nature by being more technical? We can't. It just does not make sense. And if it does to you, please leave a message in the comments, and we can start having dialogue back and forth, and we can actually make something happen instead of me just talking to a damn camera. All right? So I hope that makes sense with these words. I know it does, but I hope it helps you see that you can apply this to every word, everything, to every person, to every ancient story, to every religious scripture, to every spiritual scripture, to everything. To the handbook at your job, to the manual for your electric diagram and instructions on how to operate your devices. This applies to everything. To a YouTube link. It applies to everything. It applies to the ones and zeros. And why is it ones and zeros? Because if you put a 1 and a 0, that's a J. That's what's happening in tense. Ones and zeros. That's just computer coding. I know how to read that, but I don't care. I'm not going to sit there trying to code computers. I'm not going to learn how to do it as something that I practice and get good at, because what I'm good at is loving people and being honest. And if I was given a chance, I do a lot of helping, lifting, building, healing, everything. It's all waiting. It's all waiting. If people want help, all they got to do is say, I want it. I'll take it. That's all. The only help I won't give people is a bunch of money. Because paper isn't worth nothing. Heart is. Life is. And that's what I'm here to bring back to you. So until next time, peace and God bless. Be the light. All right?